Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing another video from Grab the Lantern today. And honestly, I missed content yesterday, but I'm kind of happy I did that now because our newest champion, Zeri, has actually been revealed over on the PvE. Now, this was an extremely quick reveal. There is a single link to Zeri's universe page, which actually now leads to a 404 error message. So clearly this was something that was done inadvertently and has since been pulled back, but the splash art has still been ripped and is over on Surrender at 20, so I will have that link down in the description if you want to take a look. Obviously, it was in the thumbnail as well, so you guys can see it from there. But either way, I did want to talk a little bit about Zeri now that we have some details to kind of poke around with, and also to revisit the champion roadmap that was published back in September of 2021 and talk a little bit about what was in there and speculate a little bit more on our newest champion now that it looks like she's going to be coming to the PvE sooner rather than later. Now, a couple of things stand out for me right off the bat. The first of which is that Zeri's lightning particle effects are actually centered around herself and her hand, not actually the weapon that she's got. This is a very interesting concept for me because it means that the sort of electricity nature and her electric abilities may not actually be dependent on her weapon itself. It may be something that she innately has, that she is a magical user, and that she's able to channel this somehow into her gun in order to gain additional value, but she can use the lightning no problem on her own. That would make her a very interesting champion, I think, as far as Piltover and Zaun goes, because generally Piltover and Zaun champions are not actually magical in nature. Arcane actually kind of gets at the heart of this as well, and I will reference Arcane a couple of times, guys, so if you have seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But generally speaking, Arcane characters are not magical in nature, and so Zeri could be a very interesting character in that regard. I think the only other character we would really have is Seraphine, who's magical in nature, but Zeri would be then our Zaun rep with some type of Arcane talent, which would be kind of cool. The other thing is her gun, of course. Now, obviously, this could just be an example of the hand either being obscured or the gun just having like a mount to go over her hand in order to be wielded. So I don't want to make too much speculation in that regard, but there's a possibility that her hand is a gun and that her hand has somehow been replaced with this weapon. And this is going to get into a little bit of another thing I want to speculate on a little bit, but that is a bit of an interesting concept to have. I think it does work with the sort of Zaun aesthetic overall. That's kind of unique and cool. And the reason I think that there may be something to do with this is due to the fact that there is a mechanical hand in the foreground of the splash art, as well as a very robot-like character in the background who's getting blasted by Zeri's lightning. Now, obviously, this could be a regular human being wearing a helmet and with, armor on or something of those in that regard. Zaun has a lot of sort of weird-looking characters and weird-looking fashion, so I'm not going to say entirely that these have to be robots, but they could be. And this, I think, is interesting because it does mean that Zeri may be a previous member of the Glorious Evolution, right? It could be the fact that she lost her hand or had it removed as a part of the Glorious Evolution and then decided she no longer liked that and backed out from there. And that's essentially why she still has the gun hand nowadays, because she already replaced that body part with a metal augment. The robots could be an indication that Zeri is actually sort of an anti-Victor in that regard, in that she dislikes Victor's Glorious Evolution and is otherwise seeking to stop it, or otherwise just dealing with errant robots in the streets of Zaun. Unsure entirely, but there could be something there, so we'll have to stay tuned for her actual lore to get released before we can determine otherwise. The final thing I want to point out about the splash art here is that the coat she's wearing reminds me very heavily of the coats worn by the Firelight gang from Arcane. If you guys haven't seen it, this is the gang that Echo is sort of using to combat against Silco and the spread of Shimmer through the streets of Zaun. This means that Zeri could be a member of the Firelights in sort of the current League of Legends timeline and has actually signed up with Echo. That would be kind of interesting. It then makes me wonder if she could theoretically show up in Arcane Season 2 as a character, but the jury's still sort of out on that one. That, I think, is a little bit more of a reach than everything else, so we'll have to see where that goes from there. I do also want to recap on what was discussed in the original Champion roadmap back when Zeri was sort of teased for the first time. This is the last Champion roadmap we have. Now, the first thing, and this should be obvious, Zeri's title is the Spark of Zaun, which means she's going to have a lightning theme, and a lot of the details Riot had in their sort of teaser were talking about lightning, right? Electrifying start to 2022, ride the lightning. I think part of the thing as well for me is that Riot talk about how they have a champion who plays the game at a machine gun pace and brings the feeling of a shooter game to the roster, and we wanted to explore more unique basic attack concepts in League of Legends. We wanted to re-explore the role of the basic attack in the Marksman Champions kit and see if we could completely turn its purpose around. This, to me, seems like it might be a very interesting concept to play around with, because to me this means that Zeri's auto attacks are going to all be skill shots. Every time she auto-attacks, it basically works in a similar fashion to Twitch R, where it fires at the target, but it's not guaranteed to land. And this would be a very interesting concept for the champion in general, or alternatively, that the auto-attacks do something else entirely, and instead Zeri has a basically zero cooldown ability, or an ability like Yasuo Q, where it decreases with the cooldown decreases with attack speed, that allows Zeri to spam this ability basically as much as she wants, but again, it's a skill shot, which means that she doesn't have the ability to guarantee that it's actually going to get value, which I think would be a very interesting way. I'm also confused by what they say about completely turning the purpose of a basic attack around. Usually a basic attack's purpose is that it does damage, and I'm kind of wondering how you could do a basic attack that does what's the opposite of damage, right? Durability, I guess, survivability, healing, what exactly is the opposite of the basic attack? That's kind of the curious point for me, and I would love to see what exactly Riot are intending to do with Zeri based off of that. But either way, she will be doing something crazy with her auto attacks, and we'll be having sort of a lightning sub-theme. So either way, really excited to see this. I know this is a bit of a shorter video, guys, but let me know what you think of Zeri down in the comment section below. If you have any other speculation or details, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all later.